Hi guys, in this new video today, I will teach you guys with simple examples on how to word your questions when you are constructing a questionnaire. It could be a quantitative or a qualitative research, doesn't matter, but you need to know how to word your questions so that you get the required response from the respondents, which will help you answer your research question. So the topic for today is avoid these mistakes. All right, so let's get started without wasting much time here. The first classification I will put under the questions is how you can poorly word your questions. Okay, let's take some examples. So the first thing is you should not be using any kind of complex terms or language because using complex or big words can be confusing to respondents. The meaning may be very simple to you, or it may be very obvious to you because you may know the meaning, but you cannot assume the same for the respondents. So an example being here, let's say you have written a language like this: polysyllabic linguistic terminology can act to obscure connotations. Now here itself there are a couple of words that even I don't know the meaning of. All right, so it may be very clear to you if you're in this area, but when you frame your questions you have to assume that your respondents are not familiar with it, so you need to word it simply or provide the meaning of it. All right, if you really need to use a technical language, you need to provide the meaning of these words. I will advise that try to use simple language. Then the next area could be ambiguous questions. Ambiguous questions is that frames of reference can be highly divergent, so do not write any ambiguous question. For example, let's say the question you've written is do you use drugs? Now the word drugs itself is ambiguous. There could be different meanings associated with it, right? So one of the meaning could be the illegal drugs, right? Illegal drugs, or it could use or medicinal drugs or prescription drugs. Which one do you mean when you are asking this question? So you have to be very clear to the respondents. All right, so or somebody might think you're talking about alcohol or cigarettes, so we don't know what you're talking about, right? So make it very clear. If possible, avoid using any kind of complex terms or ambiguous if it is not necessary, because it will distract the respondents. The third type is double negatives. Now double negatives is let's take an example. So say you have asked the question, do you disapprove of the government's new policy on pension payments? And the choices you have given is yes and no. All right, now to state that you approve of it, you have to choose no. So no indicates approval, which can be a bit confusing because normally yes indicates approval, right? So if you ask a question like this, sometimes the respondents will get confused and they will choose the wrong option. Instead of choosing yes in this case or no in this case, they will choose the other one. So look at the question and think about it. Do you disapprove of the government's new policy on pension payments? So if they want to say yes, we approve of it, they have to choose no, which can be quite confusing, right? The next one is, of course, double barreled questions. Now this is when you ask for only one response to a question with more than one issue. For example, you want to know if the team leader, do you consider your team leader to be honest and effective? Now some respondents may feel that he is honest but not effective, while others may feel he is effective but not honest. So how do they indicate that? So here they are confused. So you can either say, do you consider your team leader to be honest, and then have a separate question asking, do you consider your team leader to be effective? All right, this is how you break the questions into two different questions. The next broad heading I would put these examples as is if you have biased leading or loaded questions. Now let's take the first type here. If you have a ring true type of statements, what is these? So these are statements that are easy to agree with. All right, they are easy to agree with because they tend to ring true. All right, so an example here is, say you have asked, you really can't rely on people these days, right? So most of the people might say agree. Now although this statement is likely to get high percentage of agrees because they tend to sound reasonable, So you should be asking a question, not really stating it. So you must say, can you rely on people these days, or and then they will go about yes or no. Not really making it a statement. So you are leading them towards believing something, and one of the types is ring true statement, because it is easy to agree with. The other one is hard to disagree with, so opposite to the previous one. So these are statements where your respondents are likely to think yes, that's true, but, so they might think yes, that's true, but you have not given them an option to explain themselves. They do not have a chance to elaborate, and they are forced to either agree or disagree. For example, it is good for young children if their mothers can stay at home throughout the week. So of course they might say agree, but some may say no, disagree, because although I agree, but may not be possible, because they have to work, or it will get boring for them, or they need a change as well, or something like that. You need to then give them an option to explain further, just not give them a agree, disagree, or yes or no option. And then the third type is, of course, leading questions. Leading questions are where you lead the respondents in a particular direction, which you can do intentionally or unintentionally. But people who will be reviewing your survey questions will feel as if you are leading them intentionally to get the desired response, which will help you answer your research question, which will help you prove your hypothesis. That is something you should avoid doing. So, for example, you are asking, why does multiple choice questioning lead to improved student scores? Now here you are assuming that multiple choice questioning leads, or you are actually leading the respondents to believe that multiple choice question does lead to improved student scores. That's not, may not be true. All right, so here you are trying to make them agree towards something which they may not agree with. The third classification is the questions which could be problematic for the respondents. So the first one is where they have to remember something, they have to recall something, they have to rely on their memory. So which in my case, of course, my memory is failing every day as I am getting older, so I am going to be terrible in answering these type of questions. But these questions are, let's say somebody asks you, how many relationships have you had in your lifetime? So for some people it might be very difficult. Or how many cigarettes did you smoke last week? Or how many bottles of alcohol do you drink a month? So that could be very difficult for some people, and they have to rely on memory. So asking these kind of questions is you are going to get a an inaccurate answer. So you have to frame it better. So maybe not rely so much on long-term memory, but rather on short-term memory if you really have to ask these questions. Then there are some questions which could be very offensive. Now people take offense to different type of questions. I cannot give you examples. Some people take offense to very straightforward questions as well, which you may not take offense to, but we do try to identify some of these questions. For example, asking somebody their monthly salary could be offensive to someone. Maybe somebody who's making a lot of money, maybe not to them, but to somebody who's not making too much money, or maybe they perceive that they are not making too much money, they might be offensive. So a good way to go about it is giving them a range of numbers and asking them to choose. So I have made a separate video on that, on how to ask sensitive questions. Please watch it, it's in the description section below. Another example offensive question is, how much weight did you gain last year? Which again to many people might be offensive. Maybe they might consider it to be body shaming or something like that, right? And then you have questions with assumed knowledge, where you are assuming that your respondents know about this. So try not to assume that your respondents know about, or they are familiar with the same things as you, even if it's their area, and even if it's maybe you are teaching them about linguistics, just like the previous question, you're assuming they are familiar with the technical jargon or technical terms used in linguistics. So you cannot do that. So for example, here a question is, Marxist theory has no place in 21st century politics. Do you agree or disagree? Now many students may not know what Marxist theory is, or they may not remember, or they may not be able to relate it to the 21st century politics, or they may not know what is 21st century politics. So here of course there will be confusion, and the students will disengage with the survey. They will or either they will just make up a response and give it to you. So people will disengage. Once they disengage with the survey, then they don't want to fill the rest of the survey. You should avoid these questions. Then we have questions which require or with unwarranted assumptions. This means the respondents are likely to be at a loss when it comes to answering a question that contains an assumption they do not agree with. So for example, let's say, what was the most enjoyable part of your hospital stay? Now here you are assuming that they enjoyed the hospital stay. Now if somebody was staying in the hospital, I think, I'm sure they were injured or they were getting operated on, so they might not have enjoyed it. So the respondent will not maybe like to answer this question, because for them it may not have been an enjoyable experience, but you are assuming so, and you are assuming on their behalf that they had a great stay here. So avoid these questions as well. Finally, questions with socially desirable responses. Now this is more likely to be an issue in face-to-face surveying, especially because person who's asking the question is sitting right in front of the respondent. So let's take an example. An example is, let's say you have asked a man, do you think women serving in the armed forces should have the same rights and responsibilities as their male colleagues? Now let's say a man does not believe that, he disagrees with you. He might feel uncomfortable disagreeing with you if you are taking the interview or you are conducting the interview, especially if you are a woman as well, right? So for you as a researcher, you have to be very objective. You are not there to sit and judge people or their opinions. So you have to ensure that the respondent is not uncomfortable answering any of your questions. Here, if they find it uncomfortable, then they will just simply agree with your theory just to make you happy, or and they will not give the response that you need, or you as a researcher will be left unsatisfied without the required information. So one way to avoid all these type of questions or being framed in your survey is, like I've told you, is use a pilot survey. And pilot survey will help you get rid of most of these questions, or just get your questions read by your peers, fellow academics, your supervisors, researchers, or use a questionnaire that has been tried out and tested before. These are some of the options you can use to ensure that you do not make these mistakes while constructing a questionnaire. Go through your questionnaire many times. The more number of times you go through it, spend a lot of time. Do not be in a rush to use a questionnaire. Most researchers do that. So take your time, go through a pilot study, make many people read it, make many people respond to it, and hopefully you will be able to avoid these kind of mistakes. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and let me know if I missed out on any type of questions that should be avoided, and see you soon with my next video. Bye from